Joe, you talk about the margins all the time, and it seemed like Atlanta won a lot of the stuff in the margins. They had 15 more shots, all of them from three. How are you guys able to have a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, 22, with Atlanta doing so many of those things that were important to the game?
Yeah, I mean, we tied the turnovers, but I think a few of those came at the end, and then there were some dead ball turnovers, and so a lot of their, even when we did turn it over, they weren't able to capitalize on it. And so I agree with you, like, as good as it feels, we haven't gotten better in 2 games because we're not able to control the shot margin the way we need to. They're doing a great job taking away our threes while they're, kind of unleashing their guys and taking more. And so we have to do a good job at not turning it over, and we're doing a great job of defending without fouling. And there's still, I'd say 8 to 10 rebounds that we can do a better job of coming up with.
Is that something that, if they are able to, because they didn't shoot particularly well, if they shoot well, I mean, that could end up being a problem?
It could be, yeah. But, if they shoot well, and there might be less chances for offensive rebounds. So, we can definitely limit the Bogdanovich threes. DeJounte Murray was great tonight. I don't know how many of those you can limit because he also has the ability to play off the bounce. But it's definitely limiting the Bogdanovich ones. Again, there's out of the 19 offensive rebounds, some of them are 50-50 balls, some of them you can't get, so we got to look at the ones we can control. We got to do a better job of getting them. And
it just seemed like at one point Derrick White kind of took things over on both ends to kind of was his performance almost like a bailout in that kind of way where he saw you guys struggling there or losing, Atlanta made a run, I'll put it that way, and then Derrick White kind of stepped up there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he just made the right play. And so, like, when you have him and you have Smart and you have 2 guys that are toggling between handling, setting, you have Jason and Jaylen handling, setting, and you're able to navigate your offense. It's just who's going to make the right play. And they started doubling, and then we were able to get some open looks and generate some confusion there. So when you do that, he does a great job of just making the right play, and he took advantage of it.
Heard you're a big spike guy, and you come into the series.
No idea.
Come into the series playing small against a team that's been dominating at the rim, playing big, and tonight you guys had 12 blocks, kind of like ruled the air. How much do you think you guys took it as a challenge of if we're going to play small, we have to win that part of the game?
I mean, I think anytime you have an identity of a team, and we have multiple, because of our depth, and we've played big during the year, and we've played small. You have to understand what the strengths and weaknesses of that identity is, and so. Defending without fouling, rim protection, being physical, keeping the guy in front of you are really important. So we have to do a better job on the glass, but we're making up for it in some other areas, defensively with our active hands and our blocks and, what we do on offense.
Do you see it as a big statement that you guys can stick to your identity regardless of the opponent, not care about the matchup and still dominate that way?
I think so. I don't think we're dominating. I think we're playing pretty well. I think we're doing a lot of good things, but I still think we have to get a lot better. But I do think a strength of a team is the ability to play its guys, at the same time be ready to adjust when necessary.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Just to follow up on what you were just talking about, and you talked about before the game, your depth. They made a run and they can't close within 9. Is that a tribute to the way you pulled away? Is that a tribute to your depth?
What do you mean?
Well, in other words, you were able to, Malcolm played extremely well, and Robert, as you know, as you talking before the game, coming off the bench, feel confident about your depth in terms of the long.
Yeah, confident about the depth, confident about the lineups and the different lineups we can play, and I think we're doing a good job of just getting those different lineups where we have different ball handlers, and sometimes we're double big, and sometimes we're not, and when we're not, we have this, and so. I think when I mentioned depth, I mentioned number of players, but I also mentioned the different ways that we can play with the same guys. And so we're trying to, just figure that out.
With some of the issues you're talking about having to play better, how good does it feel, though, to get out of here, going to Atlanta with a 2-games-to-none lead?
Yeah, it's a balanced feeling of, you understand that you're up 2-0. At the same time, we have to play better, and we know we can play better. So I like the duality of that feeling.
I don't have a duality question. Jaylen seemed to aggravate his hand and then asked out. Do you know anything? Are there any updates?
He didn't ask out for his hand.
He didn't. It was time to come out anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And nothing you know about his hand?
No. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Joe, how much of a luxury is it to have Derrick be able to just shoot freely? He's shooting with more confidence and kind of bail you guys out, that big 3 to kind of put you up by 12. Not bail you out, but you know what I mean. to score and be that third reliable scorer, and sometimes your second scorer. And secondly, what was Murray saying to you after he hit those threes? As he was talking directly to you or someone behind you?
He was talking to me. He just asked how my day was going, he's a great kid. He's a great guy. I've gotten to know him just through a lot of the people from the Spurs organization, and he's put on a hell of a show. As far as the Derrick question, I mean, listen, like you said, when we have the lineups that we have, and he has the ability to handle, the ability to set, the ability to play, and when Smart and Jason and Jaylen are creating advantages for others, and he is a beneficiary of those advantages at times. He does a great job of taking advantage of those, and him and Smart have both been a guy that get out in early offense. They get us going in early offense, and so he gets a lot of his stuff in those first 6 to 8 seconds, which helps us a lot too.
And then his confidence, is that something, some players are extremely confident, some others need a boost. How did you notice what kind of guy Derrick was, and maybe he might need a boost?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what we talked about before the game of when you have a group of guys, you have to make sure they feel valued. And so I think everybody goes through, just situations where you want to make sure you're appreciated and valued. And, he's no different than anybody else. So I think it's a matter of just managing those relationships and understanding that we have a great team. And here's where you can be really effective for us. And, luckily he has that attitude.
Joe back here on your right. Jason found Al 3 key times tonight that forced Hawk timeouts. What did you see in his vision when the Hawks would bring a second or a third defender?
Yeah, just his patience to be able to accept that, and that allows us to get to our spacing. And usually when that happens, there's 3 2-on-1s, and you just have to find the right one. And he did a great job of making the right play and finding those.
And how does having Hauser and Brogdon as rotation players in the playoffs help the offense? What have we seen from them so far?
Yeah, it just goes back to the different combinations that we'll have of who's handling, who's setting, who's spaced, who creates advantages. Both those guys have done that all year in that second unit, and they both did a great job tonight defensively as well. Thank you.